Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Pacers Daily. I'm your host, Hery Acosta. Shout out to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring this video. Scan this QR code, put in $5, use the promo code BasketballFan for $75 in bonus bets when you play your first $5. Now, let's hop into straight somber news. What I feared was true. Johnny Furphy did indeed tear his ACL. And with it being already February, this really puts a damper on him being available at all for next year, at least the beginning of next year. He should be able to play, once 2027 comes around. But tear his ACL right before the All-Star break, kind of around the same time Kyrie Irving tore it last year. Now the good thing is Furphy is young. Furphy's 21 years old. Better recovery time than a player like Kyrie Irving, like Jimmy Butler's recovery time will be. But still, major setback right now for a guy who was playing his best basketball, especially starting. I mean, Furphy's been a consistent starter this year, and that is saying a lot because he hasn't really, played too much basketball since he joined the team last season. But Johnny Furphy, just this year, he started 21 out of 35 games, averaging 5 points, 4 rebounds, assist, almost a steal, 0 0.2 blocks. His stats don't jump off the page. But can you look me right now and tell me that there are many players in the league that play with more hustle, more heart than Johnny Furphy does every given night? He's not going to be the kind of guy that puts up 25 and 15 or 25 points, 8 assists. But on any given night, he is going to show more heart. He is going to fight for every rebound. If he doesn't get it, he's going to fight for every rebound. He's going to open up the floor. He's going to make sure he gets his teammates involved. He's the kind of guy you want to play with. He's the kind of teammate that you want on your roster. The kind of guy who will make sure that everyone around him has the best game possible, even if it means his stats aren't going to be all that. I mean, his last few games, he had a 14, 7, and 6 performance against Utah. He had 10 rebounds against OKC. He had a double-double, his first career double-double against Toronto on January 14th. He had 11 rebounds against Cleveland. And that's really when everything kicked in. I mean, he really became a starter back in December. 27th against Miami was his first true start. And since then, he has started every game but one. That one game against San Antonio where he did not start. Still had 7, 2, and 1 on 14 minutes. And he hasn't really been averaging a crazy amount of minutes. I mean, the most he's played was 33. And a lot of other games has been 28, 27. But most games he goes in, kind of, is there, does his stuff, and only ends up playing 12 to 15 minutes, which is fine. But it's still that energy. We're going to miss that energy for the next year. I just really hope he is still on the team next year because I like the way Furphy plays, and I genuinely think he can just continue to improve because he's also not a person that takes bad shots. When he takes a shot, it looks like it actually might go in. Yeah, sometimes he's going to miss because everyone misses. But unlike a lot of shots that Jarris Walker takes or a lot of shots that maybe Ben Shepherd takes or even Andrew Nembhard takes sometimes, Furphy doesn't take a bad shot. Every shot he takes has potential to go in. So definitely sad. Honestly, Halliburton and Rick Carlisle's reactions said it all. If anyone was watching that game, as soon as he landed from that dunk, it just looked like he was going to be hurt. It looked like an ACL tear. Unfortunately, that's what it was. And we're just going to have to see what we do from there. I'm going to talk about later in this video about what expectations are for next year. And then I'm going to actually talk about the rotation that I believe is going to be the case starting, next game. Because, I mean, the day this comes out, the Pacers are playing the New York Knicks. And now that we have two season-ending injuries with Halliburton and Johnny Furphy, a lot of stuff is going to have to change. Especially because we have at least 6 other players in this game that might not suit up. Zubac is still questionable. Honestly, Zubac should just heal as much as he can. We're not going to beat the Knicks at all. So just have him heal. Now, on to not Pacer news, just because this is the kind of place where you cue Fight Night by Migos, because let's start with the simpler fight, the Minnesota Timberwolves Hawks. Really just Nas Reed and Muhammad Guy getting into it. Wasn't really much, kind of just grabbing each other, both ejected. Whoop de doo. Then Detroit and Charlotte happens, and as a Pacers fan, we know a thing or two about um, brawls with Detroit. Malice at the Palace. I attended last year. I went to the game where Isaiah Stewart elbowed Thomas Bryant, or not really, not elbowed. He like threw Thomas Bryant down, and then Bryant got up and wanted to storm Stewart, and Stewart got ejected for a flagrant two because he already had a technical foul in that game, and we called that the Fight Night game when it really wasn't any fights. It was just a few skirmishes here and there. But this was entertaining. This was 10 out of 10. People were saying this game was more entertaining than Super Bowl, and I understand why, because this game was entertaining. And you don't expect a random Monday night game between the Hornets and the Pistons to be as entertaining as it was. But it all started in the third quarter when there was a foul on Diabetes, and him and Duren got into it, just face to face. Something was underlying there. Duren kind of puts his hand on Diabetes' face, and Diabetes just swings on him. Miles Bridges gets involved. I mean, at first he just kind of shoved, and he kind of stayed back for a minute, kind of let Diabetes do his thing. But Diabetes just kept swinging and swinging and just hoping to connect on one against Duren, and he was heated. Like, he pretty much what Isaiah Stewart did in that whole LeBron fight when he just broke through all security. Diabetes broke through everybody in that court to try to get to Duren. Swung again, didn't connect again. But then everything calmed down for like 0.3 milliseconds. And then Miles Bridges and Duren. Bridges throws a punch. Duren throws one. And then they get separated. And you think, nothing's crazy going to happen. But Isaiah Stewart is on the Detroit Pistons. So something is going to happen. It doesn't matter if he's on the bench. It doesn't matter if he's on the court. Runs off the bench, which is already a 1-game suspension just for running off the bench. And pretty much just full on attacks Miles Bridges. Came in throwing a punch. Bridges kind of like, they both threw a punch at each other. Then Bridges kind of ducked and they both grabbed each other. And if you watch the video, Isaiah Stewart is just throwing haymakers at like this area of Bridges, which is insane. That we really haven't seen crazy fights like these. Alvarado's been involved in a couple punches were actually thrown. There was one of him against Thomas Bryant when Thomas Bryant was still in Miami. And I forgot who else he got into a little physical altercation with earlier this year or late last year. But it was a punches thrown altercation. And then obviously last year there was a Najee Marshall, Yusuf Nurkic, and if you want to go back, the famous Brandon Ingram, Chris Paul, Rajon Rondo one. We haven't really been too accustomed to seeing a lot of brawls, but this was a genuine brawl. Like you'll see shoves, you'll see stuff, you'll see the other one that the Pistons were involved in was the Pistons Magic fight when Mo Wagner went in for that elbow on Killian Hayes, and Killian Hayes punched him in the back of the head, and then everyone on the Magic got off the bench, and they suspended everybody on the Magic's bench for a game, but they had to split it so the Magic had enough players to actually play. So literally everyone on the Magic bench in that game was suspended. So half of them were one game, half of them were the next game after. And I'm not gonna lie, I love this. I mean, it's, don't get me wrong. Yes, it's whatever. But I wanted to see physical stuff like this because obviously I wasn't around for the 90s era when the fighting got good. In the early 2000s, yes, there were obviously Malice at the Palace. There was the big Nuggets Knicks brawl between Nate Robinson and J.R. Smith, Carmelo Anthony, all that. We have had some pretty fun fights, but over the last few years, this has honestly been the best one. This was a genuine, just full-on brawl. And I don't think these are going to be the only 4 players suspended because I think there were more players that got off the bench. So we'll see. NBA should be handing out punishments tomorrow. And yes, I know this isn't Pacers news, but like I had to. I mean, that was entertainment. We need entertainment. Like I said, at some point we got to cue Fight Night by Migos because that's pretty much what tonight was. Just that game in general was just insane. So that's that. I mean, I got nothing else to say. That was crazy in itself. But fast breaks, buzzer beaters, and block parties are back, and Underdog is the best place to get in all the action. Playing Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players are going to go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, or more. Get your pick, try to give them up to 5,000 times your cash. Now, let's look at a pretty fun game tomorrow. It's Dallas versus Phoenix. Cooper Flag and Devin Booker. 21.5 points for Cooper Flag, 22.5 for Devin Booker. I'm going to go higher on both. I think they're both going to have great games. Now, Booker's scoring this year has been a little low, mainly because of the fact that Dylan Brooks is going absolutely berserk, and he's been having his best season to date. With, Jalen Green kind of coming back into the rotation, he's been dealing with a lot of injuries since he got to Phoenix. Some of that scoring might end up going to him, and then between Colin Gillespie and Grayson Allen having career years, there's a lot of scoring to go around in Phoenix. And Phoenix has really been one of those teams where don't really talk much about them. I mean, they just got Cole Anthony, who's most likely not going to play too much. And just overall, got rid of one of their better rebounders in Nick Richards. Now Mark Williams is pretty much the big center on that team. So I genuinely think they're both going to go higher. Now, Cooper Flag, obviously, Dallas has a pretty much brand new team. Chris Middleton and AJ Johnson, Tyus Jones, all should be getting minutes here soon. Now, AJ Johnson, kind of like garbage time minutes. Tyus has been playing, and they have a lot of players to go against. I mean, the most recent game I watched from Dallas was the Dallas San Antonio game. The game where Castle dropped a 40-point triple-double. But who was the best player on that Mavs team? The rookie, Cooper Flag. He's going to go higher. Now, all you got to do, use this promo code BASKETBALLFAN to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. So all you got to do, download the app, scan this QR code, put in the promo code BASKETBALLFAN, deposit $5, put it in, any kind of entry, and then you get $75 in bonus bets. Underdog. Make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus. 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska. 19 plus in Colorado for some games. 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. And present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/play and get terms DFSTML for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 helpline at 1-878 or text HOMI 467-369.
Hey everybody, I'm back. Now, I wanted to have a quick segment towards the end, just talking about my expectations for 2026. And I know it's still February, but I mean we're pretty much already eliminated, so why not? Here are my expectations. Halliburton comes back, Siakam's fully healthy, Zubac fully healthy, Nembhard, and then hopefully a top 4 pick. Now, let's go with that scenario. The scenario that we get a top 4 pick, and what do we do? Now, DeBonsa, most likely going to be that pick, or maybe Cameron Boozer. But we need a small forward, in my opinion. Of every position, I would say a small forward. As much as I like Nesmith, I would prefer Nembhard start rather than Nesmith. So I would rather us pick either DeBonsa or Boozer, so we don't end up with yes, I like Peterson too, but I would rather have a Nembhard DeBonsa duo than Peterson Nesmith. So if we have a top 5 pick, we're gonna pretty much, top 4, we're gonna pretty much draft a Rookie of the Year candidate. Now, a double having center, not something that we're too accustomed to. Siakam, 20 points per game, that's a given pretty much every year. And then we finally get back pretty much 22 and 11. That is, you see some of the games we've been playing, right? Against top teams where we're losing by 3 to 5 points. We're missing a 20 plus point per game score and a guy who averages 11 assists, who's led the league in assists, and he's been an All-NBA guy. So if you do the math, a lot of these games we would be winning. But yeah, you kind of have to take off a few points from everybody. Maybe Siakam averages a point or two less. Maybe Nembhard averages a point less. Whatever. This has been a high scoring offense for a few years. One of the best offenses in the league. Yes, our defense can improve, but we're talking strictly offense. We score a lot of points. We don't score a lot of points this year because we're missing a 20 plus point per game scorer who also is responsible for over 50 to 60 points per game. With that on the court next year, who knows what could happen? Just because we genuinely will be back next year. I'm going to keep saying it. This is the 2020-2021 Warriors season. Or, I mean, it's not really that. It was actually the 2019-2020 Warriors season, more like, right before the COVID season. Big run, bad season, another big run. The East is fine. The East is good. There's some good teams in the East. But who knows where Giannis is going to be next year? Who knows if any team is really going to be, outside of Detroit, Cleveland, Boston, and I don't know about Philadelphia. Philadelphia is going to be up and down. Milwaukee's probably going to be up and down. But only a few teams can really, and New York, of course. Only a few teams are really going to be on our level next year. I think Toronto, yes, they can improve, but is that team really going to fit well together when it comes to playoff time? Who knows? And then last but not least, who's going to start for the next few games? It's going to be Jarris Walker, in my opinion. Or maybe they just kind of play around with different players. Obviously, we're going to maintain Nembhard, Nesmith, and Siakam starting. Whether or not we start players like Huff or Micah Potter, that's one thing. Until obviously Zubac comes to play, then obviously he's going to start, see how he does, just kind of fitting into the role. Don't expect him to be too crazy right away. But then that kind of leaves our shooting guard, small forward position. Why not just have a big lineup? Zubac, Huff, Siakam, Nesmith, Nembhard. Why not? I mean, what do we have to lose? In fact, we have a lot more to gain if we lose. That's a top 4 pick we're playing for right now. Crazy good conditions, by the way, but still a little scary. But that's just my opinion. Maybe we could go big, or we could play Jarris Walker at the 2 or the 3. Yes, I know that's not really his main position, but see a little bit ball handling. Move Nesmith to the 2, play Jarris to the 3. Who knows? As always, I'm your host, Hery Acosta. I love doing these videos. They're just very fun to do. But thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe for more of this content. Share this. If you know a Pacers fan, send them these videos. They'll subscribe. They'll like these videos. Share them with other people. Spoil the community. We're all Pacers fans. But as always, thank you for watching. I'm your host, Hery Acosta. Boom, baby. Go, Sirs.